Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Nick, and I'm coming back at you with another video. In today's video, I got a pretty special one for you. I recently picked up this little guy, which is the XPS 13. Now, I primarily got it for school and running around and stuff like that. It doesn't really classify as a gaming laptop since it only has integrated graphics, but I was really curious as to see how it would run Overwatch, one of my personally new favorite games. It's really fun. So that's what today's video is about. I'm going to be running some benchmarks on this little guy running Overwatch in the preset settings of low, medium, and high, and I'm going to show you how it runs and how it performs. So to quickly go over the specs, this has an i5 6200 running at 2.3 gigahertz. It also has an Intel HD 520 graphics, 8 gigabytes of RAM running on the 1080p screen, not the 4K one. So let's get right into it. Let's start right off getting into the low settings. Now I started this off by putting all the settings into the low preset settings, and I set the render scale to 33% from the default of automatic. I found automatic wasn't really running as cleanly as it could have been. So I set it back to 33%, and more on this later. It proved to have a dramatic effect on the performance. But either way, I found I was getting average 40 to 45 frames per second playing on low settings, which honestly isn't that bad for being integrated graphics. Obviously, with a dedicated GPU, like on my system with my 670, I'm getting like way over 60 frames per second. But in this system, 40 frames per second, 45 frames per second is honestly not that bad. And that's what I was getting playing at low with 33% render scale. Now, moving on to medium settings, I started all my presets to set to medium, and I also raised the render scale up to 50%. And obviously with these settings a tad higher than low, I was getting significant loss in frames per second, which is unfortunate. On medium settings, I was only getting 25 frames per second average. Obviously it varied plus or minus 5 depending on the situation, but a good average was 25 frames per second. And I made sure to keep track of the scenarios where you're in fight a lot, and that's obviously going to lower your FPS. So that's what I took the average from, and honestly it didn't really run at a playable setting for me at least, but it was alright. It was 25 frames per second, still lower than 30, which honestly I wouldn't even play at, but honestly for integrated graphics, not too bad. Now getting to the big bummer, which was high. Unfortunately, as you can see the trend, frames dramatically dropped. All the settings on high, render scale set at 75%. I was getting 10 frames per second, unfortunately. It just did not run at all. It was barely playable. You couldn't even tell what was going on. Honestly, this system, not going to be playing on high. It's just not going to happen. Definitely not at 1080p, and not going to be getting that even at lower resolution. Not cut out for this laptop for sure. That's unfortunate, but it is integrated graphics, so what can you get? So in conclusion, this computer is obviously not a gaming laptop. 40 frames per second on low is adequate enough for light gaming, but anything higher than that, medium or high settings, it's just really unplayable in my opinion. Now, I was actually pretty surprised getting 40 frames per second even on low. It's not too bad. I mean, if you want to play a pickup game every once in a while, it's actually pretty good for that. I mean, you don't really need to spend anything more if you want that, so XPS 13 is great for that scenario. But if you plan on playing this game and more games like it in the future, you're definitely going to want to at least upgrade to a gaming laptop that something has a dedicated GPU, because currently, unfortunately, the integrated graphics market is not very good for gaming. You really need a dedicated graphics card for that. At least a 960M or 970 would be more ideal. 960M. But yeah, anything lower than that, you're really not going to have too much of a great experience. So would I recommend this computer for gaming? Not at all. Would I recommend it for everything else? Absolutely. It's a killer laptop. So if you guys want to see more videos like this in the future about the XPS 13 and other cool tech videos, hit a subscribe button. And if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button down below and leave a comment. See what you guys liked or disliked about the video. I'm always open for criticism. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and peace out.